Are you ready to finally unsubscribe from and remove that toxic narcissist from your life once and for all? Well, then you are in the right spot.
Give it up for the author of You're My Favorite,
Author Ginny Preem.
Let's give it up for
Ginny Preem, everybody.
Hi, I'm Ginny Preem. I am a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, a life coach, and I also have a podcast called Drinking with Gin. We talk about here and on the podcast about toxic relationships, narcissists, and of course we do talk about their behaviors, but I also like to provide you with information on the healing journey, information on how you might be feeling, and then also practical tips and tricks that you can implement in your own lives on your healing journey and to just improve your life overall. Now, keeping in mind that we can't control other people, but we can only control ourselves. And that's why I like to empower you with knowledge, information, and tools that are practical that you can apply into everyday life. And that's what we're going to do here today. If you are finally ready to unsubscribe from and ditch that narcissist once and for all, I have the perfect strategy for you today. I am going to give you some of the strategies and tactics that you can implement, give you a little bit of information, some cautions or some bewares of what you might expect when you do begin to implement these things, and then also give you the reasons why it works. I'll even share a real life story from my own life of how I implemented this strategy successfully and I was able to ditch that narcissist once and for all. The strategy I'm going to teach you about today is called the gray rock method. Now, this has been proven to be effective over and over and over. Again, like I said, I'm going to share with you a story about how I used this strategy. What does it mean? What does it look like? How do we implement it? And why does it work? Before we get to what the gray rock method actually is and how you implement it and why it works, let's first give a quick recap on what the narcissist is seeking. Remember, narcissists are looking to seek control. They are looking to stroke their egos. Those are two of the main cornerstones. So they are constantly looking for supply to fill their ego, to make them feel better about themselves, to overvalue themselves and undervalue others, all while having control of their targets, having control of their supply. And the main thing that the gray rock method does is makes them think that they're in control. It gives you the control back, and it also starts to limit their supply. So in a nutshell, what the gray rock method is exactly what it sounds like. You become like a gray rock, as uninteresting and as boring as possible. You're going to do this in a few different ways. And keep in mind that this is going to look different depending on the type of relationship that you are trying to eliminate from your life. A friendship is going to look different than a coworker. A coworker is going to look different than a romantic partner. A romantic partner is going to look different than a family member. If you are long distance from this person, or if you live nearby, or if you live with the person, the strategies are going to be tougher the closer the relationship is and the closer in proximity that you are. So these are just a couple of things to keep in mind. You can still do it, but it does take and require a lot of discipline and a lot of consistency. So those are the two keys, consistency and discipline. And if you stick with it, it will work. Have you ever noticed that a narcissist constantly asks you a ton of questions? They want to know every detail of what you've got going on in your life. They want to know all of the relationships and the ins and outs. They claim that they don't like drama, that they don't seek drama, but they're constantly creating it. But yet they don't tend to share information with you. Maybe you're friends with them for many, many years before you find out something that you're like, wow, you had plenty of opportunities to share that information with me, but yet they're constantly just seeking information from you. So this is one of the first things that you can do to start implementing the gray rock method. Number one, stop sharing information with them. When you stop sharing information with them and you start withholding information from a narcissist, it will drive them crazy. A narcissist will accuse you of being gossipy, yet they will be so upset if you know something, a piece of information, before they do, because they want to be the first in the know to have the gossip to then go and share it with everybody that they know. So implementing this first strategy, withholding information. Like I said, I would share a personal story with you. Now, this was a friendship situation where I was looking to eliminate this person from my life. I was ready to unsubscribe and ditch that narcissist once and for all. So I first began by withholding information. Perfect example. I was going to Paris on a trip with another friend, and the narcissist wanted to have coffee with me the day before, and I agreed. I'd already been trying to gray rock, and with multiple different strategies, this person from my life. But I did agree to have coffee because then I knew I would be gone for a week and communication would be limited. So it was the perfect opportunity to really implement the gray rock method. Get together with them and then withhold information. So I got together with them, and then the next day I went to Paris. When they saw that I was in Paris and I didn't share that information with them, they went bananas. She went absolutely insane, was so upset that I didn't share this information with her. Now, here's a little warning. I told you I'd share some of the warnings. Things can get worse before they get better. Now, in this instance, the narcissist then passive-aggressively started calling me in the middle of the night in Paris. The good news is, 10, 20 years ago, this would be very problematic. But with today's technology, we can take steps to make this not as problematic. You can put people on do not disturb. You can turn your phone off at night. You can put it on silent or vibrate so that they don't wake you up in the middle of the night if this is one of the instances that were to happen for you. But they were being passive aggressive because they knew I withheld that information from them, and it started to work perfectly. Did get a little worse before it got better. The second thing that you can do, number 2, is be less available. Have you ever noticed that a narcissist will call you repeatedly or text you repeatedly if you don't respond to them right away? So start being less available. If you really want to drive them nuts and take this part of the gray rock method to the next level, make them schedule time with you. Because remember, they are constantly seeking control. And when you start to take some of the control back, let them know you've got a lot on your plate right now. You're really busy at work. You've got a lot of family stuff going on. Whatever it is, just say, you know what? I would love to chat, but schedule time with them. And that will be, they might lose interest in that because they are losing control. Going back to my own example, as I was in the gray rock method process, I became less available. I answered the phone less frequently. I responded to texts less frequently. I got together with them less frequently. I engaged with them less frequently. And this started to drive them crazy. So they would call me multiple times in a row. And I think one of the things is that a narcissist does is it starts to make you a little bit anxious when they call. You see their name on the screen and you kind of get anxious. You don't want to talk to them. You know how that conversation, you're anticipating how it might make you feel. And so by responding and engaging with them less, you begin to protect your own feelings. And then you're also starting to create a little bit of space, giving them less control, which is ultimately the goal of the gray rock method. You're shifting the dynamic here. So what I did with this friend was I started scheduling calls, and she did not like it. It was very frustrating for her because, again, she was losing that control. So step number 2 that you can implement of the gray rock method is become less available. Respond to their texts less frequently. You don't have to respond to somebody all of the time right away. And that's part of what has fueled some of this narcissistic bubbling up because of today's technology. People are more available. So you can kind of start to peel that back, become less available so that you are gaining back that control. Keep in mind that the goal here of the gray rock method is to become just like a gray rock, become as uninteresting as possible. A narcissist wants a reaction out of you. So this is tip number 3 of the gray rock method, is don't react. When they are trying to engage you in gossip and drama and all of these things that are going to give them and fuel their supply, don't react. Don't react. You can take a deep breath, think about how you want to respond, but don't react, because that is what they are looking for. Remember, they are going to want to try to elicit a reaction out of you and then use Darvo, which we'll talk about Darvo more in depth in another video, which is they deny, attack, and then reverse the victim and offender. So they will try to get a reaction out of you and then paint you as the villain. They will try to flip that script and turn the tables and blame your reaction. They will push you as far as they can to your limit and then get a bad behavior or a bad reaction out of you and then use that to turn the tables and make you seem like you're the bad guy here. So don't react. Again, becoming as uninteresting as possible. And this one is tough. Again, keeping in mind that the more interaction you have with them, the more consistent, the more diligent that you have to be, the more disciplined you have to be in this method in order for it to work. But it will work. And so this is another way that I began to use the gray rock method to eliminate this narcissistic friend out of my life once and for all. Was I stopped reacting. I didn't let her get under my skin. I just would approach things from a place of neutrality, which is another really good approach. Because remember, if they are trying to create an argument, they are trying to get that reaction out of you. And if you can just approach things as much as possible from a place of neutrality, that is really helpful. You can pause, you can take a breath and think about how you want to respond versus giving them that reaction that they're looking for. And my 4th tip, number 4, if you do have to interact with the narcissist, keep it brief, keep it simple, keep it short, keep it non-committal. You may have to change the subject, again, away from something that they're very interested in. But as your interactions become less frequent, you can also begin to keep them more brief. That brevity is also going to become less interesting to the narcissist. So let's do a little recap. Number 1, this is when you keep information, personal and sensitive information, you withhold information from the narcissist. Number 2, you become less available. You shorten the interactions. You might have to schedule time with them. You respond less frequently. You answer their phone calls less frequently. Number 3 is don't react. Stop reacting and giving them an emotional response. And then number 4, if you do have to interact with them, keep it as brief as possible, as short as possible. Use as few words as possible to minimize the interaction with them. Now, like I said, it can get worse before it gets better. But for me, in my own situation, the withholding information was a really powerful tool from the gray rock method. The final straw for my narcissist was when I launched my podcast. This is something that I didn't share with her, and she ended up seeing it on social media. And that is when the narcissist disappeared. And the reason why this works and why this is different than going no contact is you're letting the narcissist think that they are making the decision to discard you. They are in the belief that they have the control. So where this can backfire is if you tell them what you're doing. So it's very important to not tell the narcissist, I'm implementing the gray rock method with you. You just need to start to implement these things, stay consistent. And a couple of tips to keep in mind to make it more successful is when you are suppressing and not reacting and giving them the emotional response or the emotional reaction that they're looking for, suppressing our emotions is not always healthy. So make sure that you are giving yourself an outlet, giving yourself some self-love to really process the emotions. You may consider seeking therapy or talking to a confidant, a loved one, a friend that you feel very safe with about this situation so that you can process what you're going through and what you're dealing with. And if you don't feel psychologically and physically safe, certainly reach out for help. I hope that you found this information useful. And if you use the Grey Rock method or have used it and it's worked, or you've tried and you're stuck, please reach out to me or put in the comments. I would love to know your success in using the Grey Rock method. I do also have availability for one-on-one sessions if you're looking for that. You can book right through my website, www.ginnypreem.com. You can book one-on-one sessions with me. You can also join my Thrive in 2025 community right through my website. We meet 30 minutes weekly. We start actually this Tuesday on the 21st of January. You can join at any time, but this will give you access to a group coaching community. It'll give you accountability, inspiration. We'll talk about different areas of our lives that we're trying to improve, including dealing with narcissists and toxic people. And I just think it's such a great opportunity for us to connect and come together, create a common language, and just, like I said, thrive in 2025. If you love this video and you're looking for more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to my page and turn on notifications so that you know when I have new videos coming out. I can't wait to see you next time.